Where does this leave National Cabinet's plans now for that plan to reopen by Christmas?
Well, in disarray, Danica. I mean, forget it. But it's very interesting. You seem to have a different philosophy by the bigger populated states in New South Wales and Victoria to the rest of the country on this. So I have information as well that the Victorian Premier will say, the same as Gladys Berejiklian, that we have a watching brief, that essentially we're watching to see how things go. And that makes a lot of sense when you think they've had 17 cases in 2 days in South Australia. When they agreed, several states, to the hotspot definition at National Cabinet, it was 30 cases over 3 days. So an average of 10 a day. They haven't reached that yet. I know we've had this one family of 15 people who've been tested, or 13 people who've been tested today. But essentially, you can see here a difference in view from New South Wales and Victoria to the rest of the country. It sounds like those governments will be staying more open. The other governments, any sign of the virus, it's about elimination, complete elimination, and they'll have those borders shut. But I think it's fair to say out of this that a lot of people's Christmases are now ruined because you have to outlay a lot of money if you're travelling as a family, and the uncertainty that this creates, and 3 states just shutting things immediately before they look at where the outbreak's headed, how isolated it is, whether contact tracing is sufficient to curtail it, means that people are just going to cancel their plans, and you couldn't blame them. And so it's devastating. It's a really important couple of days for the country leading into Christmas. And the talk is South Australian Health are on top of their contact tracing, that they have a system as good as New South Wales or nearly as good. I guess we've got to hope that's the case.
Well, fingers crossed, and you're right, it does throw a lot of Christmas plans out, but it's the fact as well that how many people would be willing to go into 2 weeks in isolation in a house, say with a family of 4 or a family of 5, for 2 weeks, plus then spending time with your family. How many people realistically are going to fork out that much to do that?
Yeah, well, that's right. So you have 4 weeks leave a year. Are you really going to spend 2 weeks sitting in a house?
No.
So, I mean, look, I think, it's a devastating blow. I mean, it's right that it's a reminder how quickly the virus can take hold, but let's get it in perspective. Again, it's 17 cases in a state with a population 2 million. And there's absolutely no doubt when you talk to any federal or state officials or whatever that there is a view that Mark McGowan's hardline stance is about his election in March and Anastasia Palaszczuk having been voted in on that mandate. And that's the danger for people trying to see loved ones in Queensland, that she feels she has to deliver on that mandate and will do for some months. So, I mean, even Scott Morrison's announcement on Friday, Anastasia Palaszczuk was quick to come out and say that's not quite right, aiming towards open by Christmas. And I just think that's been shot out of the water, really.
Yeah,